clay shooters. It's that time again.
These guys aren't just anybody. They're good.
It's time for the Dead Pair Podcast with Jason Rambo.
Does your brain hear what your mouth is saying?
And Sean Alley.
He's large and in charge.
Here to bring you all things sporting clays, from the ins and outs, tips and tricks, news and gossip from pro shooters, service and industry specialists, coaches, clubs, and more.
Often imitated, never duplicated.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only...
Welcome, everyone, to the Dead Pair Podcast.
Yeah, coming in hot.
I don't know. It's not that hot out.
Hey, everyone. We are energized by KO Ammo Game Board US. What's up, Mr. Large and in charge?
I don't know. I'm just kind of anxious to get this guy on here tonight.
Yes, we are about to have Michael Hampton Jr., NSCA on. So.
The head guy. Hopefully get some information out of him for what's upcoming for 2022 for all the shooters out there.
Yeah, and we're going to ask some tough questions. I hope he doesn't hang up on me.
I doubt that. He'll probably just say, I'm not going to answer that.
So, hey, everyone, I hope you guys are keeping up on our YouTube channel. We've released some questions for the coaches over there. Getting a big response out of that from the people that have seen it. They really like what Bill Elliott and Chad Roberts has given us so far. Got some really cool ones coming up here soon, too.
Yeah, the videos, I think, are a neat addition because, as the coaches have said, gives them a way to visually illustrate what it is they're talking about.
Right, exactly. We have got some pretty cool content coming up and some pretty cool in-studio guests coming up. So if any of you have questions, whether it's for the coaches or for a gun club, get them sent to us. One more thing. Sean Alley and I would like to throw it out there, a little Q&A with Mr. Alley and myself.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions directed towards us, now please don't ask us shooting-related questions. We are not coaches. Okay, we are nowhere near experts.
And keep the questions tasteful. We're going to have to keep this PG-13. and if you're bringing up our past, there's probably some statute of limitations that we still have to worry about on things. So
hopefully they don't dig that deep. But anyway, yeah. So you guys got any questions, send them over to us. You can go to our website, click on the contact button that comes right to our email inbox, or get a hold of us on social media. You're more welcome to do that. One more thing, Sean, I'm going to throw a little selfish plug out there. I now have a 5-stand package available from Atlas Traps.
Nice.
It comes with 6 traps and a remote, voice-activated remote. And, of course, there's endless possibilities for, switching it up. Maybe you want a bigger trap or a different kind of trap or whatever. But,
so basically, if somebody doesn't have anything at all and they want to kind of get the whole kit and caboodle.
Yep, they want the whole kit and caboodle. They want to get started. They want their own personal 5-stand. It comes with 6 Atlas AT-150s, a remote control with voice activate, and, of course, accessories out the wazoo, right?
Yeah, probably customize it however you want.
However you want. If you want to substitute one of those traps for maybe a rabbit trap or a Batu machine or a 90 millimeter or 70 millimeter, whatever you guys want.
That'd be sweet for somebody that's got a little space in their backyard or in their back field, and they can basically get everything set up and ready to rock and roll.
We're not too far away from weather breaking, and everybody's going to be anxious to get out and
heck yeah,
get some birds busted. So if I can help you in any way, get a hold of me. You can reach me at Rambo, RAMBO, @Reagan.com, or just call my cell phone, 614-949-6121, and I'll help you out. We even have some financing available, too.
Sweet.
Well, hey, listen, let's get to Mr. Hampton. He's waiting on us to call, so without further ado.
All righty, everybody. Joining us on the phone right now, the Executive Director of the NSCA, Mr. Michael Hampton Jr. Michael, how are you doing this evening?
Good. How are you all doing?
Well,
great.
Other than cold and rainy, we're doing just fine.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, that does take the fun out of it.
It does, and I'm sure the weather's a little nicer down where you are, hopefully.
Yes.
Well, listen, Michael, as the director of the NSCA, I mean, everybody knows you are a very busy guy and probably couldn't even begin to touch on all the stuff that you're responsible for and everything you have your finger in. But could you kind of give us and our listeners a little rundown of some of the stuff you do, some of the stuff that it takes to make this sport and all the events happen with the NSCA, and maybe just give us some of your, day-to-day stuff and day-to-day activities that Michael Hampton Jr. has to take care of for the NSCA?
Yeah, as the I'm actually the kind of the interim NSCA director. I'm the executive director of both the NSSA and the NSCA. So I oversee both organizations, and also the National Shooting Complex. So wear a couple hats at different times depending on the situation and what we've got going on. But we also deal with on a regular basis, dealing with member and clubs, trying to grow the sport, dealing with potential member issues or club issues that happen at a shoot, disciplinary action, a variety of things with that. Also dealing with the both the NSCA and NSSA boards and EC, making sure that we're providing them the necessary information that they need, help them better in their state or in their club or in their region of the country, do better and inform them of what's going on. I'm also in charge of, we have a lot of capital improvements. As anybody that's been to San Antonio knows, we're on 700 acres in San Antonio, and there's a lot of upkeep and a lot of improvements that we try to do on a yearly basis. So when the members come to San Antonio, they have a good time and see something new. It's a nice place. It's upkept. And new improvements each and every year. And the last thing dealing with, we've got a staff. We've got a staff of about 25 to 27 employees. And like anything, just making sure everything is going smoothly with our team. But I'm very fortunate. I've got a great team down here in San Antonio that helps make this place run.
Yeah, definitely need good people to make things happen. Well, it definitely sounds like there's no lack of things that you have to take care of. So, again, we appreciate all your hard work, and I'm sure listeners will be interested to hear all the stuff that goes on behind the doors, so to speak. I'm going to dive right in and basically go with some of the questions and comments that we get from our listeners. First one is, one of the discussions that comes up all the time with both new and experienced shooters is, at the end of the year, they do a class system where you can either be upclassed or downclassed depending on how you shoot and how you perform for the year. And basically, can you touch upon the way that works and some of the important things that shooters need to keep in mind to avoid, like either being downclassed? I think that's the most common thing. A few of us get upclassed if our averages are high enough, but if you can maybe just kind of give a quick rundown about how that works, why we do that, and then what they can do to hopefully avoid being downclassed for the next year.
Yeah, what we try to do is with the shooters is, the best thing for the shooters is, if you're talking about the downclass side, is they have the ability to refuse that. They have the ability to, all they have to do is when they get their membership card at the beginning of the year and they see they went from B class to C class, if they want to stay in B class, all they got to do is send an email in to Nikki at headquarters, and we'll keep them in that class. There's also a form on there that they can email in saying that we want to refuse our class, down class, and they get to stay. And that's one of the big things that people get misunderstood about that is, we're doing that because some shooters feel like they're into a class that they're no longer competitive. And when we do and look at your class average of where you rank in class, and if you're low enough and you haven't had any punches, we're going to downclass you into the lower class. And I do get some phone calls from members that are upset. They didn't realize, they didn't read on the membership card, or they didn't look at the rule book and see that they get to refuse that, because they say, I've worked my tail off to get up to B class. I've had to travel around. I've shot a long time, and it took me almost 2 years to get to B class, and now you move me back to C. And that's all I'll say, sir, ma'am, whatever it may be, is that all you got to do is let us know, send an email, and you can refuse that, and we'll keep you in B class. And we see a lot of that in the master class. That's why the master class is so big, because we do downclass a tremendous amount of master class shooters every year. But there's a lot of people with the pride, and they're proud of being in master class, and they want to keep that, even though they may no longer be competitive. But in a world of, I worked my tail off to achieve this and I want to keep it, we're not going to take that away from them.
Right. I want to dive a little further into that here in a minute, but before we do, can you tell us what's coming new for 2022? Is there any rule changes or maybe some big events or something coming up you could tell us about?
Yeah, we're excited that the World English is back in the United States, and it'll be held at the National Shooting Complex this year. We're pushing almost 900 entries already. And for anybody that doesn't know, the World English is where our USA Sporting Clay team takes on Team England, Team Italy, Team France, Team Canada, Mexico, wherever the teams want to come in from the outside the United States to take on our USA Sporting Clay team. It's a great event. There's a lot of hoopla with that. It's going to be at the end of April, as I said, down here at the National Shooting Complex. And it's an exciting thing. This event rotates from England to the United States every other year. And every other year when it's here in the United States, it'll be at the National Shooting Complex or it'll be at another club in the United States. So that's an exciting event that we've got back. American Field Sporting, AFS, is something that we're really going to focus on and promote in 2022. A slight variation of the other sporting disciplines, and it's been going on for the last couple of years as a trial basis and is starting to grab hold, and clubs are starting to hold events, and Mark Baltazar and his team have done a great job of creating this sport, and for us at the NSSA, we're going to really kind of promote that. We're going to have an All-American team for American Field Sporting this year. So we're really trying to expand on these other disciplines. You know, we all know about Fit Task, our parkours de chasse. We all know about sub gauge. We obviously the regular sporting. We have super sporting. And when we brought super sporting on as the most recent one, it was huge. It's really done well. So we're hoping eventually American Field Sporting will do the same thing, is adding another discipline to when you go to a big tournament is something for people to do.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. And probably the last thing is the Endowment Fund. As everyone knows, NSSA, NSCA is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation. And we really have not operated as a true nonprofit in the fact of trying to raise money like hospitals and university and other nonprofit hunting and shooting organizations. And we're going to really focus on that to try to raise money for our youth shooting, for our club programs, for our grants programs, for a variety of different things, for our USA Sporting Clay team, for our museum, and just try to build up a basically money to where we can fund these programs at a higher and better level than we are right now, and not try to figure out how to take it out of our operations and hopefully be able to expand upon that. So those are some of the new things we got going for 2022.
Well, I know there's a rule change that may or may not be coming out because Anthony alluded to it. Can you comment on that?
Now, are we talking about the barrel length?
No, the Super Squad.
Oh, well, that's not going to be a rule change. That's going to be an enhancement for the national championship. What that is another way of trying to market the nationals for the men and women. And what is being created, and it was one of Anthony's ideas along with some of the other top shooters, was to take our top group and put them on the same course, on the same flight, the same rotation, all 4 days. And if you meet this criteria, which this criteria should be published in the very near future, if it's not already, and these are going to be people that have won the national championship, that have placed the top 3 places at a U.S. Open or a regional, or have been on the All-American team, first and second team. And we're doing this for men and women. We figured there's probably going to be somewhere between 40 and 50 shooters that are going to qualify in the men's, and somewhere between 20 and 30 ladies will qualify, and they will all shoot together. The excitement about them is they'll be randomly squatted together, but they'll all be able to shoot on the same rotation. So if you want to watch the top shooters, you'll be able to follow them along on the course. Watch what's happening. They're going to shoot the 8 o'clock rotation on Thursday, and then they will shoot the 3:30 rotation on Sunday, the last rotation. Another exciting element of that with the Super Squad is there will be open positions that we are going to auction off for shooters to be able to shoot with these super squads. Portion of their funds that are raised from that will go back to the USA Sporting Clay team. Some of it will go back into the purse for the Open champion. And so we're excited about this new program. And like I said, we're going to be looking to have a sponsor for it. And it's just going to be a way to even the playing field for these top guys. So they're all together and we don't have a potential day of bad wind. And some of the top guys shot on a hard course where the wind changed, and it just kind of evens the playing field. But the other side about it is if you don't qualify, you don't have to shoot that rotation, but you're eligible to win everything, your class and concurrence. But if you do qualify, you must shoot this rotation to have your score count.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people will probably argue, depending on their rotation, like for instance, last year, the wind was such a big factor at the Nationals. I mean, depending on what time you shot, what day you shot, it could really make a big impact on your score. So keeping all those top level competitors together on the same rotations definitely seems to be,
I think it's an awesome idea.
one of the fairest things I've heard of in a long time. So
yeah.
Gotcha.
It should be pretty neat. Like I said, and the ladies will shoot the next rotation, and then they will shoot the 1:30, the 1 o'clock rotation for Sunday. So we'll be able to have some cameras watching this all play out at the same time on the same course. And like I said, people that have an interest in watching some of these people, we'll put them together. And the neat part is on Sunday, they're going to get re-squatted from high to low. So it's really going to be a true super squad. So come Sunday, the top 4 guys are going to be in a squad. The top 4 women are going to be in a squad. Then
cool.
Number 5 through 8, it'll be pretty neat like that. It'll add some excitement to that.
Heck yeah. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to go back to something you said. You mentioned something about a rule change involving barrel length. Can you elaborate any on that at all, Michael?
Well, basically what we're doing is we had some issues last year with some guns that were shotguns that had that were more looking like assault rifles and assault shotguns and with clips and magazines. And we needed to do some cleanup of the rules in regards to that. And that rule ballot is actually, I think it went out today. If it's not, it's going out tomorrow to all of our national delegates to vote on to kind of clean up some of that to avoid some of those. All it takes is seeing somebody do that. Then it all of a sudden it brings attention to something that is a loophole in the rule book that you go, okay, we need to clean this up. And during the winter meeting, the EC discussed it. And that was just the best way to help clean that up. Is just putting a minimum barrel length on to avoid anything like that.
I got you. Thanks for elaborating on that. All right. So let's ask this question. So can you tell us approximately how many members there are in the NSCA total? And of those members, how many actually compete in registered tournaments?
Yes. This year 2021 ended, we had over 34,000 members. It was the most members we've ever had, which was wonderful. We ended up with over 5,600 new members. The association shot a total of 29 million targets. The gun clubs, we had 586 gun clubs. Gun clubs were down a few. We lost a few during COVID, and a few of the other smaller clubs didn't make it. We're hoping to see some of those get back here in 22 and 23. But we still had over 2,200 shoots in 2021. So it was a great year in that. But one thing that always stands out about that is, we'll have people who goes, how many members do you think shoot Fit Task? And somebody will say, well, Fit Task has got to be enormous. If you got 34,000 members, what do you got, 12, 13,000? Well, 5,400 shooters shoot Fit Task targets. 5,200 shooters shoot 20 gauge. So to give you an idea, 81% of the total target shot in sporting clays is shot on regular sporting, not Fit Task, not 5-stand, not sub gauge, but just regular sporting. And it's a very interesting dynamic in the fact of 1/3 of the total shooters don't shoot targets. They are a member. They shoot recreationally, but they do not shoot competitively. So we had over 12,000 members over the 34,000
Wow.
that don't shoot registered targets. So it's almost a third.
Wow.
But a neat stat is 23% of the total membership shot over 1,000 targets.
Nice.
So once you get, what that tells you is once they get hooked, they're really hooked.
Right.
Right.
Why do you think, and Anthony kind of gave his opinion on this, and I thought it was interesting. Nobody's really actually said it. We asked Anthony about getting more registered shooters, and he said, look, how many people do you know that enjoy golf, and how many of those people that enjoy golf actually compete in a tournament? And it was like, wow, okay, I get what he's saying now. We've got millions and millions of recreational shooters, and not all of them are into competing. I know that Sean and I have felt kind of humbled in the fact that we've had dozens, if not over 100 emails tell us people are telling us, hey, we're shooting our first registered tournament because of what you guys said. And we think that's awesome. We feel like we're giving back somehow. But what do you think as far as why more people don't compete in registered tournaments? Do you think it's intimidating to them, or what can we do to help change that dynamic?
I definitely think, Anthony, a major point is what Anthony stated about you can't make a person a competitor. You can't give them that desire to go out and want to compete and go and travel the circuit and shoot like that. Either you have it or you don't. And there's always going to be that percentage. And it's kind of like our membership. You take if a third of our members don't shoot, think about our total 34,000 members compared to the millions out there that are recreational shooters. And the other thing is, I also think that it is 1/3 of our clubs, almost 200 of our clubs don't throw a registered target.
Yeah.
They don't throw registered events. And I think that comes into more of how hard it is to run a tournament. Who do you have that's going to do it? You got club managers that wear many, many hats. And they're like, hey, I can't run the counter, work on the machines, deal with the staff, collect the money, register, do shoot-offs. I don't have the manpower. And they don't have volunteers and the shoots aren't big enough. Well, then they don't happen.
That's a good point.
And I believe that if we were going to, the easiest way to us to expand right now is to grab half of those clubs that don't throw targets and throw one shoot. They throw one shoot with 25 or 30 people. Well, look at how many more people have now been exposed.
Right.
And how many of those clubs are where those 12,000 members belong and shoot, but they just don't have a registered tournament there and don't have that desire to go travel maybe 200 miles to another club because this is the only club in their area.
Right.
So I think but they enjoy the game. They enjoy the magazine. They enjoy the benefits of being a part of the NSCA and being a member and belonging to that group. But they just don't have that ability to be able to shoot that tournament because it's not there. And, one of our challenges is how do we create the easy button for the club? How do we make it easier for the club to register the targets? And kind of goes back to what we talked about a minute ago with rules. It's intimidating getting a new member and you say, here's a rule book.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to know all of those things.
Right.
Skip that. I can do a fun shoot. You know what I have to learn? Gun safety. After gun safety, I'm good to go. I'm ready to go.
Right.
And so how do we bridge that gap? And, it takes the person at the club that's a shooter to say, now don't worry about, there's 74 pages in that book. You only really need to pay attention to about 4 or 5 of those pages. After the safety stuff, you need to know, here's a little bit about classification. Here's a little bit about how they score it and that kind of stuff. And everything else, let it play out. You'll learn it as you go because it's not going to change. You don't have to know the disciplinary actions until it comes up and you can go read about it.
Right.
There's a lot of how to run a tournament. Well, you're a shooter. You don't need to know how to run a tournament. So there's a lot of those things that it takes somebody to say, hey, come with me. I'll talk to you. We'll go. By the time we get done shooting 100 targets, I'll have taught you everything you need to know to go to an NSCA tournament, and you'll have a blast.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think those are all valid points because, I mean, Jason and I, before we started shooting registered tournaments in 2017, we kind of mulled it over. It's like, yeah, are we ready for that? Are we, I mean, there is a little bit of hesitation to go into the unknown. So I totally get that. And then your point about the smaller clubs or the clubs that, have limited staff not being able to actually organize a tournament, because Jason and I have also learned, recently, just last year, how much work it actually is to throw a tournament. I mean, we saw everything basically from, picking up trash to setting traps to loading targets. I mean, there's a lot to it. So we completely get that. And, I'm not sure how you kind of bridge that gap and make it easy for a club that's never thrown a tournament to throw their first one. That's a good question.
One of the things that Sean and I push until we're blue in the face every single episode is take someone new shooting.
Right.
And one of the most appealing things to new shooters that we've seen, and I've said it till I'm blue in the face on this podcast, is statistically, sporting clays is the safest sport in the world. I mean, how many torn ACLs and broken arms and broken legs do you get from shooting around
or
feet
concussions and stuff?
Right.
You don't.
So compared to other sports,
Yep.
it's as long as you follow the safety rules, it's statistically the safest sport in the world. And when you tell people that, it kind of takes them aback for a minute because they're shooting a firearm, and it's intimidating. It's scary to some people that are new to it. But once they get past that, they're hooked.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Michael, what's your opinion? Do you think maybe that needs to be pushed a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. In the fact of getting them out there and the clubs, you don't have to have a 400 bird tournament where you have the main, you have a prelim, you have a 5-stand and a fit task to have a tournament. I mean, tell a club to get started, throw a 10 station, 100 bird tournament. Hell, go to a 5-stand and shoot 50 targets, 2 rounds of 5-stand, and have a 50 bird 5-stand event. Keep it to where you don't have to worry about all the options. You don't have to worry about getting into all of the stuff that the large tournaments do. Keep it down to the very basic. Go out and shoot. We're going to run this as a Lewis class event. Everybody's going to shoot good, and we'll turn your scores in. There's no shoot, a one-day fun shoot, 100 targets, European rotation. Go out and shoot whenever you want and have a blast. And that gets people going. That gets people excited because you've taken the intimidation out of it for everybody. The new shooter, you've taken it out for the club of all the extra work on top of it, all the extra paperwork that needs to be done. Keep it simple to get started with, and then you can grow upon that if you need to. But like you said, I mean, the game is the sport is incredibly safe. There's never been a fatality at a registered skeet, sporting, or trap event. And, there's been, you take into, you look at it and they'll say that billiards has more people get hurt at playing pool than they do shooting.
Yeah.
And, and the amount of shooters all over the United States, all over the world that compete and have a good time at this sport that is good for everybody at all ability levels. And that's what the best thing about this sport is. You don't have to be tall. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be strong. You can be any person and be able to compete and have a good time at this game.
Yeah, exactly right. Those are wonderful points. Well, Michael, for somebody that's maybe thinking about joining the NSCA, they haven't yet, tell us a little bit about the benefits and the perks that come along with the membership.
Well, as a member, first off, you're going to get issues of CTN magazine. You're going to get at least 12 digital issues of our magazine that talks about the tournaments, talks about upcoming events. It talks about the instructor program. It highlights some shooters and gun clubs. It's a great magazine that we produce on a monthly basis. We also have our website for everybody to get information. We have a partnership with Sportsman's Insurance, so you can get gun floater insurance. And if you happen to be an instructor, you can get instructor's insurance. And also the biggest thing is all of our recognition programs. We have all kinds for all ability levels, from the national level for the All-Americans down to our regional All-American teams, down to our state teams. So we have ability to be recognized at many levels. Also, along with that, we have our national championship. You're also, when you become a member of the NSCA, you're automatically a member of the NSSA through our Crossfire program. So there's a variety of different things that helps get you involved. And it's, hey, you're belonging to a organization that is what you enjoy, and that's shooting sporting clays. You're supporting the body, the governing body that works to grow the sport nationally all year long. Like anything, if you are a duck hunter, they want you to be a member of Ducks Unlimited. If you're a turkey hunter, you need to be a Wild Turkey Foundation. Well, if you shoot sporting clays, you should be a member of the NSCA.
Well, Michael, I'm going to put you in the hot seat here. Don't get too upset with me.
That's not the first time I've been in one.
Well, don't get too upset with me. We've had, I don't know why they contact us instead of contacting y'all, but they want to know our opinion, I guess. And we usually don't answer because we don't want to answer incorrectly. So I'll just go right to the man himself here.
The horse's mouth, so to speak.
So some of our listeners want to know why we don't usually see an NSCA representative at the larger shoots other than the nationals, like, regional, state shoots, U.S. Open, specialty shoots like the Gators Cup or whatnot. Do you think if the NSCA made their presence a little bit more known at these shoots and try to encourage new members, do you think that would help?
Well, to start off, we do. The NSCA has Glenn Mosley, who has been for probably the last 3 years traveling to the regional championships, the U.S. Open. If the World English is in the United States, she'll travel to that. Nikki Bowers and Glenn Mosley have traveled to some state shoots that were having some issues. But yearly, we always go to the regionals and the U.S. Open. We've missed a regional, unfortunately, due to COVID and like everybody else, unfortunately. And we've had where we couldn't get out with weather getting out of Texas. But we try to make sure that we attend as many of the regionals, at least 4 of the 5 regionals, always traveling to the U.S. Open, making sure that normally at the U.S. Open we have at least 2 members of the staff there because we try to have our EC meeting at the U.S. Open on an annual basis. That's where kind of our summer meeting for the NSCA board is. So we do have some members of the staff that do attend there. They're always at the truck and trailer. So if you ever have any issues, if you see the Winchester Championship Tour trailer, when you go to there, it's open. That's where you'll find Glenn Mosley, and she'll be happy to talk to you about any concerns about classification, rules, upcoming events, anything that you need to, or problems or something good. Stop by and talk to her. She's always selling the Krieghoff raffle tickets while she's under there. That supports the USA Sporting Clay team. And that's where we sell all of our team gear and NSCA gear. So we do attend those events. When it comes down to some of the other larger events, to be honest with you, what you see is a lot of times the same group of people travel around to the same big tournaments. Going to the same big tournaments, you're going to see a lot of the same people. If you want, what we try to do is if you're going to go to a state shoot, go to some other state shoot that you're normally not, where people aren't going to be, or they don't have a regional close to them to be able to see them. But we find out that while it helps 1 or 2 people, I hate to say it, but the return on the investment of time and money to travel now doesn't pay off to where you can easily help them by being available by the phone, replying back to their emails, making sure that their needs are met and they can get a hold of somebody. So like I said, we do travel to the big tournaments, the regionals and the U.S. Open, but we get down to that. It just comes down to money and time with the staff. I
understand. So another one of those questions they asked us was the NSCA dues that they pay. They're curious as to where that money goes. Where is it applied to?
Yeah. Well, first, as I mentioned, we get the magazine. So we've got to produce the magazine, 12 issues of the magazine on a regular basis. We have our website, our Target Talk, the database upkeep. As you know, there's always changes that you got to keep up with the IT side of everything. The staff support to run the association, and all the recognition programs, all the patches and the pins and the plaques and the recognition things that have to be done. those are what really is what supports with that membership. And also, we give a lot of money to different programs, to youth shooting. We have scholarships on both sides of the house. It's funded through the dues, and the daily fees help support all of those programs.
All right, sir. Now I got the tough one for you. This is the Loch Ness Monster of sporting clays here.
Let me guess, master class.
Yes, sir. Everybody wants to know about a pro class or a master class that's more fair. And, but before you say anything, Michael, I kind of understand it a little bit more now with some of the gripes been because, and I'm going to pick on Sean here for a minute. Sean made master's class this past year, which is awesome. But the thought of a guy that works 60 hours a week, only gets to practice maybe once, sometimes on rare occasion, twice during the week. The thought of him going to a regional or a national and competing with these guys that basically do this for a living. I mean, I know they coach for a living, but you take a guy like Anthony or David or Kevin DeMichael, any of these big names, there's just no way. It's not going to happen. So I kind of get it now. I've seen it firsthand. What's your take on that? Is there something that's coming maybe that you can share, or do you have an idea with it, or what do you think?
It has been a topic of conversation for probably maybe the last 8 to 10 years. It is the mousetrap that no one has figured out how to make work.
Yeah.
The biggest issue you get into is to give you an idea, in 2021, we had 2,600 masterclass shooters. But out of the 34,000 members, 2,600 were master. But those 2,600 shot 31% of the total targets.
Wow.
So those are the most active shooters. And we get into, when you start looking at it, as how this masterclass guy that lives in Oregon, when he goes to the Oregon State shoot, or the shoots around there, he whips everybody's tail, and they don't want him anywhere but masterclass because he's too good.
Right.
The problem is when they move out of that state or out of that region and travel to the regional where there's 600 and there's the top 30 guys that are there or ladies that are there, because the ladies are whipping a lot of men.
Oh, yeah.
On a regular basis. They've got plenty of talent. And like I said, those 2,600 members are not just men; those are ladies, those are junior shooters. And how do we space that out? It's based on if you get this many punches. Well, no, because you can't do that, because that really doesn't matter for the guy that's a high volume shooter. He's going to accumulate punches, right. But does that make him be able to beat Gavin, Anthony, Zach, all those guys? No. That means this person is very fortunate to be able to travel the circuit and enjoy shooting and spends money and does it and is competitive, but he's not going to be a national champion.
Right.
So we've talked about ways of potentially at regionals, US Open, World English Nationals, having another class for a higher level if you're at this percentile, or if because it says, if you say, if they make a first or second team All-American, they should fall into that. Or if they've got a sponsor. No, there's a lot of people that get sponsored that get support from the industry that aren't going to win the nationals. Right. And it doesn't matter if they're men, women, kid, but they've got a friend that sponsors them. And, and it's not, and we don't want to say that they're not worthy of that, but it's like, how do you decipher? And I'll be honest with you, this new super sport, the super squad, for nationals is we had criteria that met those 30 or 40 people. And depending on how that goes and seeing how that works and how that fleshes out, that may be a start of potentially how we break those people out going to an event. But the other part of that is the fairness to those people that qualify is now you've taken them out of the master class. Now you've taken them out of the ability to be in, if they pay that option, to be able to win that money. And now you're going to have a concurrent that will be at the regionals that might only have 20 people at.
Right.
And how do you support those 20 shooters by now saying, well, you're only eligible for the HOA money? Well, nobody else is. Well, now everybody else is going to be upset with that.
Right.
Well, so there's many factors to it that is the reason why it hasn't been figured out is, but I will tell you right now, I am open to suggestions. Please feel free to email me with any comments or concerns. And what I hate is somebody goes, well, masterclass sucks. Well, what sucks about it? You need to give me something. Tell me, how do you fix it? Give me some ideas. Give us some suggestions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we want to fix that. When we see that there's a problem with whatever it may be within the association, we want to figure out how to address it and make it go away so it's benefits everybody.
Right.
And, but like I said, there's a hell of a lot of people in masterclass that the AA shooters don't want any part of them dropping down into AA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I will tell you, I'm fortunate or unfortunate. I've been here around a long time. I was here before masterclass was, and and when masterclass was, they said, well, that's going to settle that. Well, it doesn't. And if we don't have a way to temper it, you're going to have the same problem in another 10 years, but you're going to have another class on top of that.
Yeah, it seems like every fix you come up with generates another problem,
That is correct. And, you have to weigh out the problems.
Right.
And, I will tell you that it's no different than the sub-gauge classification and the legacy concurrent.
Yeah.
Those were all ideas. Those ideas are going to be in just now starting year 2. Unfortunately, COVID last year and the ammo issue made it very difficult to really see if that warrant having it, but we're going to do them all through 2022, those two, that concurrent and that class, and see how it goes. And if after it gets done after 2 years and we got some data to base it, it might go away.
Right.
A lot of these things are not permanent changes. It's not like we can't go back and say, you know what did we learn? We learned that didn't work. So now how do we fix it? Well, now we've got some data and now we need to tweak it this way or that way. And but all of those things are important to the association and the growth of the game.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I've been fortunate enough or unfortunate, however you want to say it, to race a couple of different disciplines and participate in some other big sports, and they all have a point series. Now, again, and I keep picking on Ant here, I brought this up to Anthony, and he said, well, we do have that with the championship tour series and everything else. But to me, and don't hang up on me, Michael, but to me, a guy that works his tail off all year and the guy that just shows up and can shoot better for the 4-day rotation is a national championship. And so what I'm getting at is, you take, and I'm an old motocross idiot, so I guess I'll go by that one. They have a point series. And sometimes the champion's awarded before the final even comes. But what I'm getting at is all these other forums, a national champion is decided because he had accumulated and he had prevailed amongst the rest all year long. So has that ever been something that's been looked at?
Well, I would agree with Anthony because that's exactly why the championship tour was put in place. The Winchester Championship Tour is accumulation of the top events as a points race to see who will be the champion. And we recognize that in classes, and mainly the concurrent side of that. So you can find out who's the top lady, not because they won one event, because they shot well at the regionals, the U.S. Open, and the Nationals. You can't win the championship tour by doing well at one event. You have to do well at a lot of events to be able to get crowned the Winchester Championship Tour champion.
Right.
And that aspect, along with, then you have the other side, that is kind of what the All-American team is for all levels, is you're not going to make your state All-American team by just shooting well at one state shoot. You're just not going to have enough points. You've got to go and shoot more. If you want to be on the regional team or the All-American team, for the Open All-American team, you want to make the fit test team, you have to shoot at a variety of events and be competitive at all of them to accumulate those points. So I think we do have that in two different forms through the All-American team recognition programs and the championship tour.
Gotcha. All right, Michael, I'm going to change gears and get you out of the hot seat since Jason's sitting there roasting you for a while.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Well, here's an easier one, or maybe it is. So when we talked to you at the Nationals last year, you had brought up that that year was the largest attendance and also the largest first-time attendee attendance for the Nationals. So now that you and your staff have had time to kind of go back, reflect upon those numbers, is there anything in particular that you can directly attribute that growth to? I mean, was there something... Was it the COVID? Was it just the sport seems to be on a growth spurt at the moment? What is it that you think helped out to push those numbers up?
Yeah, I do think COVID played a little bit in it, not a major part, but I do think COVID played a little part in it, in the fact of people that didn't get to go last year, in 2020. So 2021, they wanted to get back doing it. And it's also... I put it to the team that helps run the Nationals, is they do a great job on all aspects, from the shooting to the non-shooting of it. And it brings in people of all ability levels. And so many people come, and when they fill out the survey, is they come in for the camaraderie. They're coming for the extra events. They're coming to see the vendors, see the sponsors. It's become more than just titling a national championship. It's the biggest gun show that we have in our sport, is the national championship, or Vendor Row, with all 40, 45, 50 vendors that are there selling their wares. You know, the sponsors come out full force with all the product that they give, that we donate, that we raffle off, or that we throw out to the crowds, or we have drawings, random drawings, just because you participate. And I think all of that is people that are just coming in. We had almost 400 first-time attendees. And I think it was just right at 400 first-time attendees. So these are people that are getting into the game and wanting to see what that's like. And, you know, if you want to be in the Super Bowl, you got to be the best team. If you want to be in the World Series, you got to win the last game in your division to win to go to the World Series. Well, the national championship, anybody with any ability level gets to shoot at the biggest event of the year. And I think that adds excitement to the people that want to get involved, to see what's going on, to go see what these other top shooters shoot like, to come down to San Antonio because it's a nice city to come and visit in that. And like I said, the team that we have down here that put this on, they come in from all over the country, a lot of hardworking people that give up a lot of, about 3 weeks of their life to make this event work. And I think that it shows by the people having such a good time.
Right. And I think that's a very good point, that in our sport, one of the unique things about it is, I went to the Gator Cup last year for my first time, went to the Nationals for my first time. So did Jason. And it's just amazing that you can actually drive around on the course and you're basically standing next to superstars. I mean, you're basically standing next to the Joe Montana, the Tiger Woods, the Michael Jordan of our sport. And they're very approachable. You can go up and shake their hand and say hi, and they'll say hi back to you. So that's what I think is so cool about this sport. It's just very, very down to earth, very touchable. You can actually meet these guys and shoot right alongside them. So I think
David Radulovich has already got a big enough head. Don't make it swell any bigger.
I didn't mention David's name. Okay.
I did. Michael, I got an odd question for you. I know you listen to our podcast. You told me that you do when we were down there at Nationals. You have more insight than anybody else in the game. What's a guest that we haven't had on that you would like to hear from? See, there I go, putting you on the spot again.
Yeah, exactly.
Why you got to beat up on our guests so much, Jason? Come on, man.
That is a good one.
Where's that Jeopardy music at?
right.
Yeah. I was going to say, how about, I don't remember. Have you had Neil Chadwick on?
Not yet.
No, we haven't.
Neil Chadwick would be a perfect one. He being in the Hall of Fame, as he's also the national champion tournament director. He works throughout all of the industry. He sits on our Hall of Fame committee for the NSCA. He's been around the game. He used to have a magazine newsletter called the Clay Pigeon when the association first got started. He would be a great one to have. Neil Chadwick. I think I think your audience would really appreciate listening to his insight.
Well, we're going to get him on.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, I think we've kind of gone through everything we had in our head. Is there anything or any other topics or points that you want to bring up or touch on?
I wanted to also remind everybody about, our instructor program. Don Curry, who is our chief instructor, and we've got a new instructor committee that is kind of working to continue to grow that program. 2021 was a good year for our instructor program. And I think it's a neat program that gets kind of the guys that want to help, that not just want to get paid to help, but want to volunteer to get help, to get these new shooters. And I think that there's a lot that can be learned through taking a level 1 instructor program course through the NSCA that will help shooters understand the game a little bit more, maybe understand target presentation, understand the shooting aspect, and how to help people at the club. Because kind of going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier about the intimidation factor of a new shooter coming out there, that if you got some guys at the club that have been through the instructor course, I think it would make it very easy for them to be able to approach new shooters and kind of give them a couple tips that maybe will help them out. You're not trying to turn them into an All-American. You're trying to turn them into somebody that's enjoying the game and having fun.
Right.
So I think the instructor program is a great program for members to get involved with. As I said, we're going to continue the sub-gauge classification. Hopefully this year the ammo situation will get a little bit better, hopefully. And people will utilize, get out and shoot a little bit more sub-gauge. The legacy concurrent, like I said, that will continue rolling. And, one thing is for our clubs, referees, we that is kind of a focus in 2022, is trying to help clubs. And I will tell you, the NSC referees is very difficult, especially under these large tournaments. Like I said, the national championship in 2021, our team, our guy Royce, he worked his tail off looking for referees and that kind of stuff. And we use a lot of military, but due to the COVID and what they were allowed to do with these guys in the military and what certain groups were allowed, we didn't get the participation we normally get. It wasn't their fault. They just weren't allowed to. And but having enough people to run these big tournaments is an issue. Yeah. And I think it's people helping out. If they know organizations, they know groups of people that would like to become referees, get them with their gun club to help them out, especially these guys that are hosting regionals, U.S. Open, state shoots, Mega Blast, those type of things. Anything like that is a big help.
Gotcha. Well, Michael, I'm going to ask one final question before we let you go, because I know you're busy. I know Jason asked who you would like to see on our show. How about a subject matter? Anything that we haven't maybe mentioned or touched on that you could think of that we would maybe make a podcast about?
See, there you go. You gave me crap.
Hey, I get to ask one tough question. Okay, I'm allowed to ask one tough question. You asked like 4 or 5.
I think you get into I don't know if it's a subject matter for your guest or for your listeners, is what would they like to see the NSCA do? Whether it's at the club level or a membership benefit, what do they see us lacking that we could improve on, and what would that improvement be? I'm not saying you need more benefits. Well, okay, we need more benefits, but what benefits are you looking for?
Right.
What can we do to help the clubs? If you're a volunteer at a club and your club's a member-owned and operated gun club, what are you seeing that's lacking that we could do to help out? And those are some things that how do we get better is knowing what the needs are and being told about it. We don't have a crystal ball. We can only do so much. We are a nonprofit, so we're limited on our funds that we have, but let's make sure that we are spending them the right way and trying to help out where we need to help out.
Well, you know what? That's an excellent point, Michael. And I think we can definitely get some people to give us feedback on that. Maybe we'll put a thing on our Facebook page and have members write in with questions, and maybe we can present you a whole list of questions off the air that you can maybe take into consideration and, see if you want to reply to them or whatever. So
wonderful.
Cool. Well, Jason, you got anything else? Or
I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble if I ask you. I'm going to stop now, or I might end up back in E-class.
Yeah, I only asked one tough question. You were beating up Michael pretty good there for a while.
Well, I didn't mean to. I just sometimes the tough questions are have the best answers.
Well, I know, Michael, that wearing the big hat is a tough thing to do, and we appreciate you coming on here and sharing with us the information for the NSCA. We really do. And we appreciate everything that you do for the club.
I appreciate what you guys are doing. And like I said, I like the hard questions, because the hard questions is an opportunity for us to make sure that we get the right information out there. And sometimes it sheds light on things that people didn't realize or didn't know. And the more good information that's out there, the better off we'll all be, and the sport will continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Well, Michael, thank you very much for coming on and talking to us. Like Sean said, we really do appreciate it. And if you got anything you want us to announce coming up, feel free to shoot us an email or give us a phone call, and we'll help out any way we can.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a great night, Michael. Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, y'all heard it from the man himself. Listen, we've got to get to a sponsor segment here, and then stick around afterwards because we have some announcements to make. All right, on the phone with us for this Atlas Trap segment is Don Padgett. What's up, Don?
Not much, guys. How's it going?
Well, we're hanging in there. We're anxiously awaiting to get to some warmer weather.
Yes.
Well, come on down. It's 66 degrees and sunny down here. I was out shooting yesterday in the yard.
Oh, you're making us jealous, man. You're making us
Don,
jealous.
Don't make me hang this phone up. So, Don, tell everybody where you're from and a little bit about your shooting.
All right. Well, originally I was born and raised up by Toledo, Ohio. And in 2007, moved south down to Alabama-Tennessee line. Been here ever since. Shooting-wise, I started my very first tournament was in October of 2016 was my very first registered tournament.
Okay.
And just been playing with it, fell in love with it, and I'm planning on making it a ways in this sport. I ain't giving up. I'm going ahead.
Heck yeah. Well,
That's
it definitely
awesome.
Sounds like you came to your senses moving out of Toledo down south where it's warmer, especially this time of year.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, Don, we're here to talk to you about Atlas traps, and sounds like you've got some new ones involved, and I hear that you're very happy with them.
Oh, extremely happy. I couldn't be happier. Yeah, I originally started with 4 of the AT-150s right-handed, and one of those was a MIDI. And I thought I'd give them a shot. I had a couple other machines on site, and I had heard good things about Atlas, and I thought, you know what, let's give them a try.
So that was your decision on giving Atlas a try? Just you had talked to some other people and heard good things?
Absolutely. There's a couple of people I had talked to down here about Atlas. And then, of course, I also had a discussion with you. I believe it was at Ohio State Championship or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what made me decide to pull the trigger, so to speak, on buying 4 of the Atlas machines. And then I enjoyed those so much, I ended up buying 2 more.
Gotcha. Okay, so I guess I don't need to ask, what is some of your favorite features or feature on the Atlas traps?
What I absolutely love is the ability to do the full tilt, back, forward, side to side. It doesn't matter, and this thing will just throw clays.
Nice.
A couple of the other machines I had previously, if I did a full tilt on it, it would break almost every target coming off the arm.
Oh.
And I can actually tilt these down to the point where I can throw a standard target on the ground. And it blows my mind how well these machines work.
And now what about durability? Have you had any problems or issues with them? And if you have, how did Atlas treat you?
I have not had any issues whatsoever. None, not a one.
That's wonderful.
And I've probably thrown, I'm going to say 2,000 to 3,000 targets off of each one so far, and have not had a single issue.
That's awesome.
Yep. After talking with you, Jason, I went ahead and went with the solar chargers. I got tired of carrying the batteries into the shop and charging them up. So I went with solar chargers on all 6 of the machines. And one of the best things I ever did was add those onto it. Atlas did a great job.
Yeah. So with those new 30-watt chargers, just be honest with me. Have you had to touch a battery since you put them on there?
have not had to touch a battery at all, not a bit. And even with, we had about 2 weeks of nothing but solid rain down here. It kept them up, kept them strong. Not an issue whatsoever. Haven't had to touch anything.
That's a good testament for working smarter and not harder.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm all about that.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Well, Don, if somebody was on the fence or considering an Atlas trap and they asked you your opinion, what kind of advice would you give them to steer them that way?
I would say don't even think twice. Considering the price point and what you're getting an industrial machine with industrial equipment and what you could pay for and one of the other machines on a lower end. It's just, it's great equipment, and I don't doubt it one bit. And anybody that I have talked to, I have promoted them, I've pushed them, and it's not because I get nothing from Atlas or anybody else. I just wanted a reliable machine that I could have on my property. I could go out there and not have to worry about fixing anything, working on anything. I could just load up the targets and let them fly. And these are amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's well said.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, Don. That was, I think the boys at Atlas are going to enjoy hearing this. You know, they love happy customers and myself included. So we really appreciate this. Any closing thoughts, Don?
Well, I did want to say that, you know, when I did order these machines, I do travel for work. So I was planning on going out of town, and everybody worked with me to make sure that the machines were delivered when I was home. And it just, everybody from start to finish, from sales to the delivery, everything was amazing. The people are just awesome. And it's great equipment, American made. Assembly was all American hardware. Didn't have to worry about any metric wrenches. I can't say enough good about them.
Hey,
cannot say enough.
You brought up a magic word, and that was wrenches. You don't need any of those to adjust those traps, do you, Don?
Nope. No, you do not. Just grab the handles, and the handles are like spring loaded. You pull them out, flip them around a little bit, and it gives you more wiggle room. And the only thing you have to worry about a wrench for is the spring. And I went ahead and got one of the sockets that I put on my drill, and I can adjust the spring in a second.
Well, Jason, I don't know about you, but I know a happy man when I hear one.
Yes, I like it.
There is no doubt, guys, no doubt. And anybody that I see at any of the competitions, they come up to me, they're not going to hear anything any different. It is just awesome stuff.
Gotcha. Well, Don, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you and hopefully shooting with you sometime soon.
Absolutely, guys. And I do want to throw out a kudos to both of you. I appreciate the podcast and what you guys are doing for this sport so much. It's just, thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say so.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we'll keep in touch and let me know, and we'll squad together sometime soon. And if not, I think you need to make a trip down to Tennessee while the weather's warm down here and not too hot. And we need to do some planking on some Atlas traps in my yard.
I love it.
Heck yeah, man. That sounds like a good time.
Yep, absolutely. Sounds like fun no matter what. I appreciate it, Don.
Not a problem, guys.
Have a good evening, buddy.
See you, Don.
All right, y'all too. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Jason, that was the man, the big dog.
It was.
And
I hope I wasn't too harsh.
No, I mean, you know, you're the guy. You're that guy. So
thanks, Sean.
I give you that job.
Thanks.
Thanks. If people throw stones at you, I don't.
Yes,
it doesn't
I know.
keep me awake at night. And
the funny thing is the general public thinks that you're the nice guy and I'm the bad guy. If only they knew what went on when the microphone was off. So, hey, listen, Michael kind of alluded to something there, Sean.
Yes, he threw out a couple things if you were listening closely.
Well, I'm listening. You had an idea.
Yeah. So I guess, guys, what you really need to pay attention to is the man just basically laid it out there and said, hey, if there's a problem, if there's a question, if there's a concern, an idea, whatever, he's listening. And you know what? We're going to be the guys to get him that information, because I think, just like he said, they want to improve the sport. They want to make the NSCA better than what it is today. So we're asking everybody out there that's listening to this, send us an email, post us a question on our Facebook page. Heck, you've got our emails and numbers. I mean, you can contact us directly. What is it that you want to see the NSCA do that they're not currently doing? What is a problem that needs fixed? What is anything that can be improved in the sport?
Or if you have a question that we didn't ask tonight.
Or if you have a question that we didn't answer tonight. So the gloves are off. Drop us a line. I imagine we're going to get quite a few of these.
Yeah. I hope we don't end up in the hot seat.
No, I hope not. But you know what? Here's the thing. If we can pass it along to Michael,
Yeah.
if everybody can be frank and be honest and really throw their ideas out there, we will do our best to pass everything forward to Michael and the NSCA, and we'll let them take it from there.
Absolutely. And also, I was serious what I said earlier, a little Q&A. We're going to do a little Q&A podcast. It's just going to be Sean and I, no guests. And we're going to answer some listener questions.
Yeah.
Again, please don't make it, don't ask a coaching question. We're not coaches.
Right.
But we'll give you our opinions, and hopefully you don't get too personal because I might get thrown in jail. Anyway, we've had some people. I never thought that this would be relevant, but we've had a lot of people ask us to do this. So, hey, we're going to give the people what they want.
Maybe we just haven't put ourselves out there enough. I mean, we typically focus on our guests, and we typically focus on the vendors and everybody else we have on here.
Okay.
Is the world ready for the story of Sean and Jason?
Probably not.
Okay, I
we
agree.
might have to put a parental advisory on that episode.
Yeah, PG-13 rating or something.
Well, hey, a very, very sincere thank you to Negrini Cases. They've got some really awesome travel cases. You guys need to check them out if you haven't already. Rhino Chokes. We've talked about their chokes. We've talked about their barrel porting, but they do a slew of other gunsmithing work. You need to check them out. RE Ranger, and especially that new React lens. Sean Alley is loving him some Ranger Reacts.
Heck yes, I love those lenses.
Game Bore, KL Ammo. Thank you to Dwight and Doug. I love me some white gold.
They smash clays like no other.
If Sean can get the gun pointed in the right direction, they actually do break the clay.
Look out.
Atlas Traps. Love me some American-made Atlas Traps. Bear Pelt. Sean, how can you not love Bear Pelt?
Dude, there's not a more comfortable vest out there, and I'll stake my reputation on it.
And then the people behind it, right?
Yeah, great. Eric and Heather, great people.
If they decided tomorrow that they couldn't help us anymore, I would still wear and buy and purchase their vest. No doubt about it. God is my witness. Yep. I would buy their vest.
100%.
Odo Pro Technologies. Dr. Grace is awesome. Love her to death.
And her ears are awesome, too.
Well, her in-ear hearing protection is awesome. I don't know.
Let me abbreviate.
She's married, Sean, so.
Oh, well. I see what you did there. Okay, I see what you did there. Gotcha.
And, of course, White Flyer targets. I beg of you to go to any size tournament that does not throw White Flyer. And why is that, Sean Alley? Do you know what that is?
Because they're the freaking best.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
Period.
So thank you to all of those sponsors I just mentioned for supporting us.
And I'm gonna jump right on this because Michael said it best. Everybody out there that's a shooter, everybody out there that competes in tournaments, everybody that knows what's going on, grab somebody who doesn't. Bring them into our sport. Take them shooting. Take them to a tournament. Show them how great this sport is. Show them their love. Let them learn it on themselves and let them become hooked and addicted. And hopefully we'll all see everybody out there on the range soon. But
you know what? It's okay if you take somebody shooting and they love the sport for what it is, but they don't want to compete.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We hope that they do.
Yep.
We hope that they do compete because there's a whole other side to breaking targets when you get into that tournament world. It's so much fun.
Honestly, it kind of sells itself too.
Right. But, hey, you know what, Sean? We have babbled long enough. Our interview with Michael went a little bit long, plus with our segment. So we're going to be well over an hour here. So we better get going here.
That's fine. It was good information though. And we appreciate Michael for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us on the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you all here on The Dead Pair.